Quiet night. Everyone is asleep. The outside world has fallen silent, but inside you, a voice is still talking. What if something bad happens? Maybe you don't realize it, but you're not fighting right now. You're just writing a script. You're trying to live a future that hasn't happened yet, as if it already has. You're calculating probabilities, you're rehearsing lines, and you call this responsibility. But in reality, you're just afraid. In this video, we'll talk about that voice. The voice that keeps you awake, prevents you from making decisions, and takes your breath away. Because if there's someone out there who understands this, rest assured you're not alone. And maybe now, for the first time, you'll really start to hear it. Anxiety isn't protecting you, it's limiting you. If these words resonate with you, don't close the video. This isn't just content. This is an opportunity to reset your mind. So why do we worry? Why does our mind always anticipate the worst? And the real question is, how do we break this cycle? Part 1. Did you think you were in control? Actually, you're just tired. Do you remember a moment when your mind was silent? How rare that moment was. Because most of us now perceive silence as a threat. We can't stop thinking, we can't live without feeling, and we call it responsibility, being prepared, seriousness. But most of the time it's just anxiety. Anxiety is a master of disguise. It makes you feel like you're planning for the future. But in reality, you're just replaying over and over in your head what you'll do if something terrible happens in the future, like a movie scene, over and over again. Only the script never becomes real. When a message is answered late, you say, "There must be a problem." When the phone doesn't ring, you think, "I'm not good enough." Even silence makes you doubt yourself. And then it starts. That endless internal dialogue. What if this happens? What if they say that? What if I can't do it? Here's the strange thing. Your mind thinks this chaos is a solution. It thinks that thinking about it will make you feel better, that you'll be prepared. But you don't feel better. On the contrary, you feel more anxious. Because real control isn't about thinking constantly. It's about knowing what to do when the moment comes. And you can only do that by being there. Not in your mind, but in the present moment. Think about it. How many of the things that have been on your mind over the past month actually happened? And how did you get through them? Not by panicking, not by planning, by being there. Because you had to be. Because that's how strong people are. When necessary, they do what needs to be done. It's not about fighting a mental battle beforehand. It's about taking action when necessary that shows our strength. So why do we think so much? Because our brain comforts itself with the illusion of control. When our mind is busy with something, it thinks it's safe. If our minds are working, we think there is no danger. But those thoughts don't keep us away from danger. They keep us away from life itself. The sun is setting, but you're thinking about the email you received that day. The person next to you is talking, but you're planning your next response. You're not living in the moment, you're living in what could be. This is where the greatest fatigue comes from. Not from living life itself, but from living the imagined version of life. Fighting problems that don't exist takes away the peace that does exist. That's why this section is a reminder. Constantly thinking is not the same as being strong. Being prepared is not about controlling everything in advance. True strength is being able to remain calm in the face of uncertainty. So today, perhaps for the first time, take a step back from your mind and ask, is what I'm thinking really happening, or is it just in my head? Seeing that difference is where freedom begins. Part 2. Silence is not a threat, it is an invitation. When the mind is silent, peace comes. But for most of us, when the mind is silent, danger begins. Silence feels like emptiness, and emptiness is immediately filled with what if. Because when our brain isn't thinking, it feels like we're losing control. But the truth is, silence isn't losing control, it's stepping outside of control, and that is where peace begins. Because peace is not about everything being in order. Peace is learning not to fall apart even when things are not in order. This may sound simple, but it is not easy. Because the mind has been accustomed to a different system for years. Notice problems before they arise, solve them when they arise, and blame yourself if you cannot solve them. This system keeps you awake, but it also wears you down. True peace doesn't start with solving life. It starts with learning to embrace life. It's not about trying to solve problems before you even sense them. It's about being able to stop and breathe when they come. It's about growing stronger by feeling, not by thinking. Maybe it's time to say something like this for the first time. I don't have to know everything. I don't have to plan every possibility. Maybe just being here now is enough. Think about how rarely you say that to yourself. Because anxiety keeps you always preparing for a future crisis. But peace prepares you for the present. And now is the only real time you have. Not what you lost in the past, not what will happen in the future. Just this moment. Becoming silent is not stopping your mind. Becoming silent is learning not to listen to your mind. When that whisper rises, what if this happens? You should only be able to say, it's not happening right now, it's just a thought. And in that moment, something small happens. Just when you think you've lost control of your mind, you regain control of your life. Remember this, anxiety often comes not from living life, but from analyzing it, constantly searching for meaning, searching for solutions, trying to prevent the inevitable. All of this keeps you from living. But sometimes it's not about searching for answers, it's about waiting quietly. Life doesn't always give you an answer right away. Because some questions can only be understood by living them, and that's when a big transformation begins, when you start seeing silence not as a threat, but as an invitation. That's when the noise in your mind starts to fade, because you are no longer stopping to silence, but to listen. True peace is built this way, not by letting go of control, not by running away, but by learning to stay, no matter what, by continuing to be here, by passing through that dark feeling, but without getting caught up in it. Today, maybe for the first time, just try this. Sit without thinking about anything. Notice your breath, and whisper this sentence to yourself. I am here right now. Not so that everything will be resolved, but so that I may not be resolved. Because sometimes not being resolved, not falling apart, is the solution itself. Chapter 3. Silence begins not from outside, but from within. One day you will realize you're thinking the same things, but they don't shake you as much as they used to. You've argued with the same person, but your voice hasn't risen. A plan has been ruined, but you haven't panicked. That's exactly how change begins. It's not spectacular, it's silent, but that silence is a turning point for you. Because even though everything seems the same, something inside you has changed. The possibilities that used to paralyze you now seem like mere data. You still have thoughts in your head, but they are no longer in the driver's seat. Now you are driving, and that is the first sign of your inner strength. People ask, something has changed in you. What happened? You can't answer right away because it didn't happen overnight. You didn't wake up one morning and say, "I'm at peace now." But over time, something formed, a center that belongs to you, an inner balance. You didn't gain this balance by escaping anxiety. You gained it by staying there despite the anxiety. Instead of running away from every storm, you stay in the storm. From the outside, this doesn't seem very complicated, but from the inside, it's a huge revolution, because you're no longer trying to control life. You're learning to flow with it. The silences that used to drive you crazy are now places of rest. The questions you can't answer no longer burn you, because you know every answer comes in time, and you now have a patience that cannot be rushed. People begin to feel that you have changed, but it is not them who have changed. It is your energy that has changed. You speak less, but are heard more. You walk slower, but take more solid steps. You just smile at the things that used to make you anxious. Because you know you don't have to solve everything. Sometimes just being there is enough. As the wheel spinning in your mind slows down, you begin to see more clearly what life has to offer. A glance, a breeze, the sound of the street all remind you that life is still flowing. With eyes free from anxiety, life now appears sharper, less complicated, more vibrant. So when does this happen? When does this transformation begin? Right now. As you read this, when a sentence touches you, the moment you say, "Yes, this is it," that's when the change begins. Because now you are aware, and awareness is the first step to everything. Now I want to ask you something. If there is a sentence in this video that touches you, write only that sentence below, not just for yourself. Let others see that sentence too. Maybe they will find themselves. Because remember, silence is contagious. Peace spreads. And maybe the line you write will calm the storm in someone else's mind. Chapter 4. You don't have to fight anymore. You can start living. Maybe you're realizing this for the first time. Life doesn't start flowing when you expect it to be perfect. It starts flowing when you open yourself up to it. Because true peace isn't about problems never arising. It's about learning not to lose yourself when problems arise. And when you achieve that, even if nothing changes on the outside, a silence will spread from within you. People notice a softening in your face, a lightness in your steps, a clarity in your eyes. You no longer believe every thought. You no longer rush to every what-if call. Because you have learned, thoughts are just sounds. They are not your reality. Your mind constantly tries to write the future, but you are no longer watching those scenarios because you are not the director. You just want to be on the real stage, and that is where the transformation is complete. Life is no longer a task to be controlled. It becomes a gift to be felt. You notice the sun touching your skin, how a laugh warms your heart, or the sense of security someone gives you just by being there without saying a word. And all of this reminds you of one thing. You were always here. It was just your mind looking elsewhere. Now you are on a different path. A path that is less tiring and more fulfilling. Not a path to achieve something, a path chosen to truly live. You don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to constantly prepare, control every detail, think of every possibility. Because you have developed confidence in yourself, in life, in time. Maybe you're still afraid of some things. That's normal, but now you know that you can walk even when you're afraid. And that is true courage. The phrase, "everything is fine," is no longer a false comfort for you. It is real inner wisdom. Because now you know, even if everything is not fine, you are on the right path. At this point, I want to ask you something. Maybe this video awakened something inside you. Maybe it's a very small feeling. Maybe it's a very big, yes, this is it. If so, just write one thing in the comments. I'm ready. Saying I'm ready doesn't mean you've solved everything. It just means you don't want to fight anymore. It means you're open to peace. It means I want to live life fully and believe. You're not alone on this journey because something has changed, not outside, inside, and that change changes everything.